Marisa Norcross.
And I'm Dave Freund, and this is The Next Page. Marisa, how are you today?
I am great. You know what? I am actually recording back where it all started, in our original recording room.
Our original sound studio there.
Yes.
Otherwise known as an office with no windows and a good solid door.
Yeah. So really bringing it full circle today.
Wow.
How are you?
That's amazing. I'm great. I didn't want to say terrific because I've been terrific for less, but I'm great. I'm sitting here. I am still in my normal home office. I stayed home today so that I could record, and I guess I need to grease my chair. My chair is squeaking more and more. But I have my hearth and pine scented candle burning, so I am in the most wonderful time of the year mode here. So
You're feeling festive?
I am feeling festive. You know, my wife and I drove back from Canada Sunday night, and the roads were snow covered in Canada, and it's like, whoa,
Wow.
we just hit this really quick, which is awesome. My wife was actually starting to unpack Christmas decorations last night.
Wow.
Because she said she doesn't have Thanksgiving decorations. And so why would you put something up that like next week you would shift? So I just said, go for it.
Yeah, I'm sure you're not disappointed about that.
I am not disappointed at all because it's such a beautiful time of year. And so today,
But we're not skipping. We aren't skipping Thanksgiving
we
here
are
on
not
the next
skipping
page.
Thanksgiving, and I did not write about gratitude because I do that all the time. And so I think probably one of my first weekly emails since I started writing in October of 2016, I probably very quickly got into a gratitude one. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, our November newsletter had something about gratitude in it that I wrote, I think.
I believe so.
So, because I thought I started writing, wait, did I just write about gratitude? So I shifted it. And, you know, one of the things I noticed, too, I think you and I are getting very comfortable with the podcast because we only talked for a couple minutes before we started recording. Because I thought you were going to ask me more questions about what we wanted to talk about. And you just said, okay, I'm muted. I can see the light. I'm like, oh, we better start because the train is leaving the station.
I guess, you know, I'm in the recording room and I guess I'm just ready to go.
Ready to go. That's awesome. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is, and I mentioned it in my post, that I'm always the person that's trying to look for something positive. I shouldn't say I'm always, because my family would say, you just lied. I am often the person that would like to look for something positive.
I'd say I like to be the person that looks for something.
like to be. I desire to be. I affirm to be the person that looks for positives in negative situations. And really, a lot of the time, I think I am that person. But one of the positives that came out of last year when we weren't able to shop the way we always did, and we won't talk about why because I don't like talking about that. We've been over that for a year, even though it's not over that for a year, but we are, is that stores didn't open. I used to hate it when stores would open for their Black Friday sales on Thanksgiving. And I'm thinking, no, let people have time with their families.
Yeah. And I think even a few years back, we started to see that trend.
Yes, we did.
And even before March of 2020,
right.
I think you did start to see some stores saying, like, we want our employees to spend Thanksgiving with their families.
Yes.
And those were the real leaders in retail.
Yep.
And now I think they have more people more retailers are on board with that, partially because of the current environment, perhaps.
Exactly. And there are so many things that you can buy where you don't need to go in the store.
I don't. I think I've shared that before.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. Although there was something I loved doing, of course, I haven't been able to do it since my daughter got married, but I used to love it when Bethany and I would go shopping one evening during the Christmas season. She would just help me buy Christmas presents specifically for my wife, and we would grab a dinner. And of course, I haven't done that for, wow, I don't know, 13 years maybe. And I also used to enjoy going with the family just to sense what was happening. but that's gone. I'd rather do something else. I'd rather go to Lights on the Lake or go walk through Skinny Atlas for the Dickens Christmas than go through the malls. And we can buy everything online. But what I wanted to talk about today and what I wrote about was the benefits of generosity and giving. And what the interesting thing is that the science tells us that it's healthy. Mm-hmm. The science tells us that when we give, oxytocin is released in our brain, and we have this overwhelming feeling of well-being.
Yeah.
And if you contrast that to people that are always worried they don't have enough, that must be a horrible mindset. So, and one of the things that's a real mantra of the John Maxwell team is we need to have an abundance mindset, not a scarcity mindset. Mm-hmm. And so what was interesting was I found that it doesn't even have to be a lot. Like I noted in my post this morning that there was a situation at a coffee and sandwich shop in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where a person decided to pick up the tab for the person behind them. And that practice continued for 226 customers.
Mm-hmm. Right. The idea of paying it forward. And
yeah.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. 226 people were moved by the generosity of a total stranger and continued to do it.
Yeah. When I read that, I was wondering, like, how many hours was that? Like, how many of the opening hours of this business was this going on for? Because that's a lot of customers.
That is. Mm-hmm. That is. And what I loved was it said the research concluded with the following statement: seems like research supports the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And isn't that, I mentioned to you before we started recording that I'm helping out with a class at one of our local colleges, and that's pretty much the philosophy that I've been sharing with them about ethics and about inclusion. Just treat people the way you want to be treated.
Or
and
better.
The world is the world is a much better place. Mm-hmm. I also saw one, I was looking at, I did a little bit of quick Google searches, while I was waiting to get started here, and it doesn't have to be money. It can simply be giving of your time. Mm-hmm. That if you donate, there's one study, a Carnegie Mellon study back in 2013 said that, and they were looking specifically at seniors, but if seniors would volunteer 200 hours per year, they would reduce their risk of hypertension by 40%. Mm-hmm. Well, wow, wouldn't it be much better to, and I'm not an anti-medication person, but if you could by volunteering reduce your hypertension so you wouldn't need to be on meds. You're saving the money on the meds and you're doing good. Mm-hmm. It's good for your brain. We talked about the oxytocin. Think about how it makes people feel that are around you. I get so excited when I think about this. If we as our community here in Central New York, our manufacturing community, would focus on just doing for others and giving to others, we really could change our community.
Yeah.
And just by being nicer and kinder.
And I feel like there are so many ways to do this. And we've talked about some of these topics before. We've talked about volunteering for nonprofit organizations or charities. We've talked about, coaching your kids' team or getting involved in your community some way. But there's also, little ways to do this. Like if you've got a friend who just needs support, maybe they just had surgery, or maybe their kid is quarantined from school, or maybe, something small. It's like, hey, can I drop off dinner for you tonight? Or can I pick up your groceries? Or I'm going into Target. Do you need something? Because those little things, the statement, like, it takes a village, it really does, regardless of what stage of life you're in. There are little ways to just help people out. And I feel like that small gesture, like you're going to Target anyways, you could pick up whatever your friend needs, is like so much more meaningful than that. To think like someone really cares about me, to do that they're willing to do that they're going to drop it by my house, and that's maybe 30-minute investment of time on the errand runner, I guess I'd say, really does a lot. It makes you feel good. It also makes your friend feel valued, and like that's what we're looking for with the holiday season. I think our brains get hijacked by this like Black Friday hype and all the errands and the chores and the this and then that and things that we have to do, that we lose sight of this giving and generosity piece. And it's not, there are so many ways to do it. I think that's what I'm trying to say is there's money, there's time, there's little, there's big, there's involving your family in a service project. There are just so many ways to go about doing this.
Exactly. I mean, I think it would be I don't think you could complete the list. There's so many opportunities, so many things you can do. Yesterday, I just happened to be in a parking lot I was at Home Depot, and I was in the parking lot, and I actually put my truck in drive. I had kind of pulled into the parking lot so I could just pull forward, and I was just sitting there, and this woman just, slowly was walking in front of the vehicle, and I think I startled her because I didn't move. The car had not moved, and she was kind of embarrassed that she hadn't looked before she walked in front of me. And I just smiled. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not in that big of a hurry. And the look on her face when she saw me smile, mm-hmm. as opposed to being annoyed, told me that she got the fact that I wasn't upset. Mm-hmm. Because she just smiled back. And so total strangers, but that's what this is all about too. I was talking I had a class yesterday, one of my transformational leadership classes, and I was talking about, how do we treat people? And I said, we're rushing down the highway, where there's a construction zone, and we absolutely have to get to our destination one car length ahead of somebody else. Mm-hmm. Why? Yeah. Why not just smile, wave, and let the person in? Mm-hmm. It's really that simple. Those very small acts can transform a person's day.
I think the difference is thinking about others and valuing others versus just thinking about your own needs and wants. Right. The situation that you just described in the parking lot with the woman who crossed in front of you, I think about that often because I like to think, like, if I'm in my warm car, protected from the rain, protected from the snow, the cold, whatever it may be, or my air-conditioned car on those 100-degree days, who am I to not let the person cross? Which legally, if there is a crosswalk, you do need to let them cross. But also just, like, I try to keep that in mind, and I hope that other people do what you do, too. Instead of being annoyed that woman didn't cross, you're like, no, I'm going to affirm that she's okay and that she's safe to cross the parking lot.
Right.
And and those little things do impact our days. And
sure,
maybe she passed on that kindness to someone else in the store who
cut
her off, or who hit their cart into the back of her heels, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Some things as simple as holding the door for somebody. Now, most doors are automatic in places today. But if not, do you hold the door for somebody? Mm-hmm. Letting somebody ahead, when you get into a fast food place to get your whatever before you run out the door, do you really have to be that one person ahead of the person? No. Mm-hmm. Just let them go. I was also thinking about the people that serve us. I think about our letter carrier, that mm-hmm. we have the most amazing letter carrier. His name's Larry. I don't know what Larry's last name is, and he's retiring, which is so sad because he will go the second mile. Like, we have a long driveway, and our mailbox is at the road. And I can't tell you how many times he will come all the way up the driveway to just put the mail by the house. Mm-hmm. He doesn't need to do that. Somebody say, well, he can drive up. Well, yeah, but he still has to drive up. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, so at this time of year, are you going to give them some special thank you of some sort? Mm-hmm. Even if it's just a card. But I would say stop being a cheapskate and put something else in there more than just a card. But, thank you notes, handwritten notes. At Live to Lead, last week. We heard about the senior leader at some years ago at Home Depot that would send out 100 thank you notes a week, handwritten thank you notes to employees. That's huge. He didn't need to do that. But what he was doing was cultivating this mindset of personal connections and appreciating people. That all flows into this same thing. And I just think it's a great thing to do. One of the things I loved is I love people that engage their kids in whatever types of service they're doing. You know, whether it's ringing a bell for the Salvation Army. You know, I love it when I see parents with kids there because they're teaching this.
Yeah.
And I think we need to focus more on others and less on self. And we're going to be much happier if we do. So what else do you think we might need to say? I mean, this is the day before Thanksgiving, so I thought this would be a shorter one anyways. But anything else you think we need to add other than just to encourage people to be kind?
Yeah, I mean, I think just I would encourage people to take 10 minutes to think about what you could do, what feels accessible to you and your family, and it doesn't have to be complicated or fancy or Instagram perfect. It just needs to have impact and meaning, and I think that the more you do it, the more you'll want to keep doing it.
Yes. The more you do it, the better you will feel.
Yeah.
It's not some idealistic thing that Dave and Marissa are talking about. It's science.
It is science.
The science tells us that if you the more kind you are to people, the more giving you are in your heart and your mind with your time and hopefully with some of your resources, the happier you will be. And you will never, if you think, well, when I get to a point where I have enough, I'll give, you will never have enough. Because that's the scarcity mindset.
Right.
So, have you started putting together your winter season bucket list yet?
It's so funny that you asked that because I did it over the weekend, and I didn't text. Normally I text you, but I knew you were out of town, so I didn't want to bother you. But we put that together. We printed it off. The girls are excited.
Super.
And right now they are finishing up their gratitude tree project. So that'll
I love. Why don't you share with folks the gratitude tree?
We started doing the gratitude tree. I think this is our third year. So Isla was only like 2.5, and I guess Lena had just been born. And we have these leaves, and every day they write I write it for them, but they tell me something that they're thankful for. And we put it on this little, tree at our house every day, starting November 1st until Thanksgiving. And
amazing. Now
that they're older, it's so funny to hear the things that they're grateful for. Some of them seem like natural choices, like their family members or their friends at school. And some of them are just interesting. Like Lena was thankful for acorns the other day.
Wow, that's cute.
But it's fun. It's so fun to see them think about, and because now they're both able to participate. I mean, this will end up being 50 leaves this year because of the day Thanksgiving falls on.
Sure.
And we don't repeat. So it's a fresh leaf every day.
Wow.
So it's really funny to watch them think, and I think it's a good exercise for them because they do have to really put some thought into it, because they'll say,
sure,
for the third time that they're thankful for mommy and daddy, and then I'll say, well, we already put mommy and daddy on there. We had, think some more, and we review them. We kind of go over them to remind them of the things that they're thankful for. So it's fun, and it's I think it's great. I like to think it's a good exercise for them to practice gratitude.
Absolutely. Oh, that's great. That's great, and hopefully folks have some ideas that they can do their own gratitude tree next year, or start December 1st. Yeah. And go till
you do a wreath, a gratitude wreath, or
a gratitude wreath. I love that. That's a great idea. Super. So want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving and launch into this amazing holiday season with an abundance mindset and with a desire to make the world a better place for others. Mm-hmm. So with that, I'm Dave Freund.
I'm Marissa Norcross.
And this was The Next Page.